Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So I wanted to highlight the end screen first because this was an insane round with 34 eliminations with 6,400 damage on control. Let's just get right into it. What today's video is going to be about is we're going to highlight some gameplay and really talk through the commentary of damage we did here. And I'm going to provide as many tips as possible. You're going to see 34 eliminations in probably about 11 minutes, so let's hunker down. So the first thing that we see here is where I'm playing and why it's so effective. You're pretty much like a giant wall for the enemies to get to two objectives here. On the left side, you have the objective where we spawned at, and then the bottom right on B is pretty much where I'm gating anybody from going over there. While I was playing Seers, I've been trying him out again, just thinking like, you know, maybe he's actually a lot stronger than we give him credit for. And the reason why is just getting the information, knowing if they're going to cross out in the open towards C or if they're going to cross over towards B. And Seer provides a lot of information on that regard. And this was, by the way, not even a single elimination from my gameplay either. Seer provides just so much intel, and I'm able to roll up on these opponents. And the reality is, when I'm playing this mode, of why I feel so comfortable on it, is I've had, gosh, years and years of playing on the Battlefield franchise. Because of that, I'm very comfortable in game modes like this, naturally. BR is actually something that I was initially not as comfortable with, but I definitely found my groove in over time, which is why you see me putting out so many guides and tutorials about Apex Legends in the BR. But this is such a unique mode. I think this game mode should stay here full time. I really think it's really great. And there's so much that you can learn and teach on it. So the loadout I'm using of why the wingman and longbow are so effective is that the wingman is also a great burst close range weapon, but I also have the longbow to get shots that may be a little bit more difficult. So you see where I'm holding, and I'm making it even easier for them to hold B because of my positioning where I'm at currently. Because I'm right in this, and I don't know why this guy didn't shoot at me. He thinks that going up height was a good idea. If you're fighting, you realistically should just, if you run into somebody in control, assume that you're going to fight. There's no reason to run away, especially in this game mode. It doesn't make sense. Hunker down, hold an angle is going to be very beneficial. And you see where Seer just has such an upper hand because I can see where the opponent is at and just completely overwhelm them. I generally have every single game that I play on control about over 3,000 damage. That poor guy looked like he went AFK. Feels bad for him. You really also can't go AFK in control because you're just, every second matters in this mode, from getting an elimination and just, you know, doing more damage. So what I was going to say is I generally have over 3,000 damage as a minimum when I play this game mode. And honestly, the reason why is just because, again, the comfort level of it and just getting in the chaos of everything. I found that the only way that I won't get that amount of damage is if the enemy team is just absolutely stacked and they roll and my match ends really, really quickly. Even then, I'm still able to dish out a good amount of damage. But if you find that you're getting rolled, it's okay, because at least you're still understanding what pressure feels like, so don't get discouraged if you run into a stacked team. It's respawn and get eliminated. There's really no harm in just losing. I mean, it's not like it's ranked. It's not like it really matters. What really matters is playing the objective, you know, warming up, practicing. And there we go. We just got the new ratings leader. Again, this spot right here is ideal. I feel like I'm making this video and everyone's going to start holding the spot. But again, you see where I'm hovering over both objectives. I get to see who's crossing over to B, stop them before they get there, and if my team's over there, I'm going to be able to pretty much hold them out. And I still even consistently push over to A, but my goal right now is just to hard hold this angle. And because it's such a good vantage point, one, you're in height, and then two, they have to cross pretty much an open area. This exists no matter what type of map they're going to build. Even in Battlefield, no matter what, there's always an angle to hold. It's like the BR mode, right? There's always angles to hold. There's always something to do. But usually landing a precision weapon is ideal because it is good burst damage, and you'll find that you're going to put yourself ahead of the pack. So longbow, wingman, anything in terms like even the Sentinel Mastiff is also a really great combo. Not saying that the SMGs aren't. It's just that burst damage, you know, that is always king in any sort of encounter. If you're going to run an SMG, make sure that the weapon combo that you do have at least has some sort of burst to it, so whenever you're in close range, you can counter. So Seer's ultimate was also really key here to making sure I didn't get eliminated. I don't know how I managed to get out here. But the amount of pressure that the ultimate does in control and the amount of information it gives your team is astronomical. It's like having a permanent bloodhound scan, and it's how I'm able to pretty much predict what's going on. It's just shooting fish in a barrel at this point. And you know, this happened a lot in Battlefield 2. Like, there's some people who I faced off against in Control that are master pred, and it doesn't matter your ranking per se, because if you catch somebody out of positioning, it'll make anybody look like a bot, essentially. So if you catch somebody out, and whether they're doing good or not, I'm just bringing up the score because I was like, wow, we're having a pretty insane round. It was getting pretty hyped. This was actually my first round on. This was just warm up, actually. But again, it doesn't matter necessarily your rank. I've seen people who are really high ranked come in here, and for some reason they just, I don't know, they whiff really hard and their positioning is really, really bad. So don't necessarily get hung up on rank or time played or anything like that. This is just a great mode to warm up on and really, really practice. If you're having confidence issues, go into control mode. If you're having issues with your aim with certain loadouts, hop into control and use that one exclusively. You know, if you can't land your wingman shots, just keep loading out the wingman and get eliminated over and over and over again. And I promise you, your shot is going to get even more consistent. And there's even moments, even though I got 34 eliminations, where I could definitely use some improvement and continue to, like, there's always areas to improve. It's never going to be perfect, and that's okay. So use your abilities pretty much on CD. Every legend has something to add to the table. Like, even if you're Loba, the use with Loba that I've been highlighting consistently is at least you have a way to get in. So this could have been where I got eliminated. And also, don't ever get discouraged with your HP, because you never know if they're going to drop and whiff. I've seen that happen so many times, and that was their top guy on their team. Trust me, I have dropped on so many individuals and still lost, even though I had the health advantage. The same thing happens in BR. The biggest tip in BR, never get discouraged based on the health deficit, because you can literally turn around the encounter just like that. You know, you can land that perfect massive shot. You can land 2 wingman shots, and instantly they are now 90 HP in, or you landed a headshot and a body shot. So just because you think that the encounter can't be won doesn't mean that it cannot be won, if that makes sense. Like, if I had 30 HP, I can still potentially clutch out the encounter just because I stayed in it. So don't get discouraged if you ever have that moment happen. It's also, it makes a difference between I guess you could call it a casual player versus somebody who knows that they can definitely clutch something out. You just have to kind of trust that you're going to do as much damage as possible. And that's a lot of the tips here. What's going to happen as this comes to a close is you're gonna find just how fast this round is and how many eliminations that you were able to see. And yeah, I know, like, okay, so another tip is you need to play the objective. I know this is a bad representation of playing the objective, but you'll start to notice, like, everyone is just kind of full sending me. I think a lot of people were getting frustrated that I kept beating them, and so they kept pushing left. They just kept trying to run at me and, like, get me out of the game. But because of that, they were honestly throwing their game. Like, you could tell, like, they were just full sending me, and it just wasn't happening for them. It just wasn't, unfortunately, in the cards. Because of that, where do you think what's happening with the objective? Nothing. They're not capturing it. So if you find that you are dishing out that much damage and eliminating that many people, then you're doing your team justice. You are helping out your team. So it's important to highlight. I know it looks like I'm being a complete bully to poor Cheesy here. Shout out to everyone on that enemy team. You know, it's at the end of the day, it all comes down to teamwork, because if I didn't have my team with me, I also probably wouldn't have been able to dish out as much damage as I was doing. Everyone is vital, even if they're not doing as much damage. As long as they're a body, as long as they're distracting, every little bit does matter and makes an impact. Especially even when I was playing Battlefield back in the day, it does matter. It does make a pretty big difference. I think at this point, I kept checking the leaderboard to see if people were leaving. But even if your team leaves, I stay towards the end of control. I don't leave my rounds unless something big happens. So there's only 3 more eliminations. I hope this is helpful. You see the angles that I'm holding. You know, height is king when you're pushing up. Information is extremely vital. That's why seer is so good, because at least I'm able to tell if somebody's there or if they're not. Poke weapons. Get into the engagement. Don't be afraid. Never know what HP you're going to have if you're going to back up. Just back up a little bit to get better positioning. And in a moment, this round's going to end. Let me know if this was awesome. Tomorrow, I want to do a video on the G Pro Superlight against the G303 Shroud Edition. A lot of people have been asking me if I'm still using that mouse. I am. I did get a pink G Pro wireless from Logitech, and I want to highlight it because I still think that mouse is amazing. I still think it's really, really good, and I want you guys to see it. So again, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all in the next video.